There is a moment that happens in nearly every home with a baby in it, and if you have lived it, you know it the second I describe it. You have tried everything. You have fed them, changed them, rocked them, bounced them, played soft music, turned off the lights, turned on white noise, checked the temperature of the room, checked the room again, and none of it is working. The crying continues, or the fussing, or just the restless, searching discomfort of a baby who cannot settle. And then, without any particular plan, you pick them up and hold them close against your chest, and something happens. The sounds slow, the body unclenches. Their weight shifts, and they find the position, pressed against you with a specific, purposeful stillness, and they are calm, not sort of calm, not heading in the direction of calm, calm in a way they were not 1 second before. And you stand there, warm and a little stunned, thinking, why me? Why does this only work with me? What does my baby know about being in my arms that they don't know about every other place in the world? I am going to answer that question today. And by the time we are done, the way your baby reaches for you when nothing else works is going to mean something entirely different to you than it does right now. If this is already making you see your baby differently, hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps. And drop a comment telling me how old your little one is right now. I love knowing who I'm talking to. Let's start with what is actually happening, because there is a version of this story that most parents tell themselves, and then there is the true version, and they are almost opposite. The version most parents tell goes something like this: my baby is spoiled, or my baby is too attached, or I have accidentally taught my baby that they need me in a way that is going to be a problem later. This is the story our culture tends to hand to parents, especially to mothers, especially in the middle of the night when exhaustion makes every ordinary thing feel like evidence of failure. But that story is not what the science says, not even close. Here is what is actually happening when your baby calms only in your arms and nowhere else. Your baby right now, in the first months of their life, does not yet have the neurological equipment to regulate their own body from the inside. The systems that adults rely on to bring themselves back from distress, the ability to slow a racing heartbeat, to lower cortisol, to shift from alert to settled, those systems are not operational in a young infant. They exist in early form, like the framework of a building before the walls go up, but they are nowhere near functional independence. What this means is that your baby is not choosing to need you because they are weak, or because you have made them dependent, or because they lack the character to self-soothe. Your baby needs you because their nervous system is at this stage genuinely incomplete without you. This is called co-regulation, and it is one of the most important discoveries in the science of infant development in the last several decades. Co-regulation means that your baby's nervous system borrows stability from yours. When you hold your baby close, something measurable and specific begins to happen. Their heart rate starts to synchronize with your heartbeat. Their breathing slows to follow the rhythm of your breath. Your body temperature steadies theirs. The cortisol that was rising in their system, the stress hormone that drives that fussing, searching, inconsolable quality, begins to clear. Research led by neuroscientist Ruth Feldman at Bar-Ilan University measured this synchrony directly in parent-infant pairs who had formed strong attachment bonds. When these pairs were in close physical contact, their physiological systems began to move together across multiple channels simultaneously: heart rate, breathing, cortisol, in a way that simply did not happen when the same baby was held by a stranger. The synchrony was specific to the relationship. It was specific to you, which brings us to the thing that changes everything about those moments when nothing works and then your arms do. Your baby is not calming because you are doing something particularly skilled. Your baby is calming because you are the person their nervous system has learned to borrow from. You are not just familiar to them, you are the regulatory anchor that their developing brain has been building towards since before they were born. Your heartbeat, your scent, the warmth and specific pressure of your body, these are not comforting in a vague or emotional sense. They are functional. They are delivering something to your baby's system that their system cannot currently generate alone. Now, here is where I want to slow down for a moment, because most parents, when they hear this, feel two things at once. The first is a kind of tenderness. This helps make sense of something that has felt mysterious and overwhelming. The second is a kind of weight. If my baby needs me this specifically, and no one else will do, that is a lot to carry. I want to speak to that weight honestly, because it is real, and I don't want to paper over it with science. Yes, being a baby's primary regulatory anchor is demanding. There are moments when that role will push you to your absolute limit. What I want you to hold alongside that truth is this one: the demand is not random, and it is not permanent. The very thing that makes you irreplaceable to your baby right now, this specific learned biological attunement between your nervous system and theirs, is actively building something in your baby's brain that will, over time, make them less dependent, not more. not because they outgrow their need for you, but because the security they are building inside your arms becomes something they eventually carry inside themselves. But we are getting ahead of the story. Let's go back to the beginning, to what is happening in your baby's brain in these first months of life, and why you became the one person who makes the world feel safe. Your baby arrived in the world with a brain that was, compared to every other species on Earth, radically unfinished. A newborn giraffe walks within hours of birth. A newborn human cannot lift their own head. This is not a flaw in design, it is a strategy. Human babies are born early, neurologically speaking, because the brain that will eventually develop inside a human skull is too large to complete its development inside the womb. What this means is that the first months of your baby's life are, in the most literal sense, a continuation of gestation. The brain is still building itself, rapidly, outside the body, using the environment around it as the raw material for its own construction. And the most important element of that environment, the one the developing brain is most sensitive to, most shaped by, and most designed to seek out, is you. Specifically, the experience of a consistent, warm, responsive human being who shows up when the baby reaches out. Think about what your baby's brain is doing in those first weeks and months in terms of a single urgent question that it is asking around the clock. Is there someone here who responds when I reach out? That question is not philosophical for a baby, it is biological. The answer their brain receives, repeated hundreds and then thousands of times across the early months of life, becomes the architecture of who they are. It shapes the neural pathways that govern how they handle stress, how they form relationships, how they understand themselves in relation to other people, and how safe the world feels to them at the level beneath thought. The researchers who study this call it the internal working model, the emotional blueprint the baby builds from the accumulated evidence of their earliest experiences. And the single most powerful evidence they collect for that blueprint is this: when I am overwhelmed, when my body is dysregulated, and my distress signal is running, does the person come? And when they come, does it work? Every time you pick up your baby and their body settles against yours, the answer is being recorded, not as a memory they will carry consciously, but as a pattern their nervous system is learning to expect. The world is a place where distress produces a response. The person who loves me arrives. Being held works. That pattern, laid down quietly in the ordinary moments of the ordinary days, is what developmental psychologists call secure attachment. And the research on what secure attachment builds in a human life is some of the most compelling in all of developmental science. The Minnesota Longitudinal Study of Risk and Adaptation, which followed individuals from infancy into adulthood over decades, found that secure attachment in the first year of life predicted stronger emotional regulation, more satisfying relationships, greater resilience under pressure, and better mental health outcomes well into adulthood. Not enrichment classes, not academic programs, the specific, repeated experience of meeting the person and finding them there. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe and turn on notifications. I upload new videos every week and I'd hate for you to miss one. Your support is what makes this channel possible, and it genuinely means the world to me. Now let's get specific, because your baby is not calming in your arms in one single way. There are different things happening in different moments, and each of them is telling you something precise about what your baby's system is looking for right now. The way they press their ear to your chest and go still within seconds, that is the heartbeat position, and it is the most ancient signal of all. Your baby heard your heartbeat before they had eyes capable of forming an image, before they could distinguish your voice from other sounds, before they knew your face. The rhythm of your heart was the first organized sensory input their developing auditory system ever processed, filtering through fluid and tissue for months before birth. When they find it now and go quiet, they are not simply comforted, they are orienting. They are finding a frequency their brain recognizes at a level deeper than any conscious experience could reach. Then there is the baby who buries their face into the curve of your neck and stays there, breathing slowly, not searching for anything else. That is not the same signal. That is the olfactory position, and it is about identity. The skin at your neck carries the highest concentration of your personal scent, the specific biological signature that your baby began learning within the first 2 days of life, before almost any other form of recognition had developed. Research published in the journal Chemical Senses found that newborns could identify their mother's scent within 48 hours of birth, with remarkable accuracy. When your baby presses their face into your neck, they are not just being held, they are confirming you. They are checking, at the level of their most primitive and reliable sense, that the person holding them is the right person. And when the answer comes back yes, the system settles. Then there is the baby who presses their full body against yours, one hand gripping your shirt with that surprisingly fierce grip, weight heavy and still. That is the pressure and temperature position. The combination of your warmth and the gentle weight of being held against you activates a specific class of nerve fibers called C-tactile afferents, which are wired directly into the brain's bonding and calming systems. These fibers do not respond to fast or functional touch. They respond specifically to the slow, warm, continuous contact of being held by someone who loves you. Your baby's nervous system has evolved a dedicated detection system for exactly this kind of touch, and when it fires, the cascade that follows, oxytocin release, cortisol reduction, activation of the social bonding circuitry, is unlike anything else available to them. The grip on your shirt is not clinginess. It is your baby's nervous system saying, "Stay, this is working." And then there is the baby who climbs into your arms and cannot settle, who shifts and fusses and searches without finding the position, who seems to want you and then wants something else and then want you again. This is worth paying attention to because it means something different. When a baby cannot settle even in the arms of their person, their regulatory anchor, the climb toward you is still right and still necessary, but there is something else underneath that also needs to be addressed. Discomfort. Overtiredness that has tipped into the cortisol-driven wired state. A developmental leap putting the nervous system under higher than usual load. Your arms are still the right place, but the underlying cause is asking for something more specific than holding alone. Here is what I want you to take from all of this into the next moment your baby reaches for you and nothing else will do. What is happening between you and your baby in that moment is not a problem to be managed. It is not evidence of something you did wrong or something your baby lacks. It is one of the most sophisticated and beautiful things the human nervous system does. Your baby has done the work, in the weeks and months since they arrived, of learning you, of building, from the accumulated evidence of your presence and your warmth and your responsiveness, a precise and detailed biological map of what safety feels like. And that map has your face on it, your heartbeat, your scent, the specific pressure and temperature of your arms. They did not choose this randomly. They chose it because you showed up consistently enough and warmly enough that their developing brain learned, this is the place where the dysregulation ends. This is the person the nervous system trusts. That trust is not a burden, even when it feels like 1 at 2 in the morning with a back that aches and a day that starts in 4 hours. It is the evidence that something is going right. And here is the part that most parents need to hear clearly, because the culture does not say it clearly enough. Responding to your baby when they reach for you is not creating dependence. It is building independence. The child who learns early and repeatedly that distress produces a response, that reaching out works, that the person they love arrives, that child develops, over time, the internal security to tolerate more distance, more challenge, more separation, because the foundation beneath them is solid. The research on this is unambiguous. Secure attachment in infancy does not produce clingy children. It produces children who can eventually regulate themselves because they first had the experience of being regulated by someone who loved them. So the next time your baby calms only in your arms, in that specific position, with that specific stillness they find nowhere else, let yourself see it for what it is. They are not manipulating you. They are not failing to develop. They are doing the most intelligent thing their brain knows how to do, which is returning to the source of everything that feels like safety. And the fact that you are that source, the fact that your arms are the place where the world becomes manageable for this particular small person, is not a coincidence. It is the result of every ordinary moment you have already given them. Every feed, every response in the night, every time you came back, you built this. And what you built is exactly what they needed. Thank you so much for being here until the very end. It means everything. If this video changed how you see your baby even a little, please share it with another parent who needs to hear it. Check out the videos on your screen now. I think you'll love them. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.